I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
That's Sparky.
And Salty.
I'm looking at the big homie chip. I was just looking at the big homie chip. Where's
He's
Chip?
right behind your soda.
Oh, no shit. For all. I think we're getting a new addition.
What do you mean?
Back there. You gotta talk to Khaled's...
Oh, yeah.
Huh? Yeah, Khaled? Huh?
We might have a new audition.
Al-Zawjat Al-Khaled. My Arabic is terrible, but pretty sure he knows what I'm trying to say. Salam alaikum. Okay, so I've been avoiding the Linkin Park for a long time.
Why?
Because the singer Chester Bennington committed suicide.
Gosh, I knew it. I knew some horrible thing was going to be coming.
So I've been avoiding these guys.
Okay.
But
It's time.
it's time. They're a legitimate main stage band. For sure. Gotta give it to them. So this is actually a pretty meaningful song, pretty important song, I think. And so...
Pretty popular, too.
Yeah, as soon as you Google it, it had 850 million hits. Subhanallah. So anyway, this is for the big homie Chester. Inshallah, he's with the Ain Self and he found some peace. But anyway, this is what I've done from Linkin Park.
Go. see why you said it's an important song.
Yep. Yes, it's it's interesting the song didn't affect me the way that I thought it would.
How did you think it was going to affect you?
Well, I mean, you know, he was alive, obviously, when he wrote this song. And he's talking about farewell and all this. And not being able to escape what you've done. So I was expecting to feel, you know, terrible for him as an individual because he wasn't able to, you know, overcome whatever it was, obviously, that was tormenting him.
Uh-huh.
But man, seeing those Nazis and the KKK and
Yep.
seeing
Yep.
Hitler and Stalin, I think Chairman Mao was there. Just all the evil characters of the 20th century who've done really. I felt so much pity for them, and I felt the sadness that I was expecting to feel for Chester. I felt for them. It was very strange. It definitely didn't hit me the way that I thought that it would. But,
Yeah, it didn't hit me like that at all.
yeah. I get just to be consumed with that much, you know. Because the thing is, you know, I've been very, very critical of Russia and not Russia, USSR, not even them, just their leaders. But, and you know, I've called out religious, you know, zealotry and crusaders and mujahideen, you know, and
Yep.
and I've also called out, you know, the atheist mujahideen, and they're in denial, and that's okay. But like, all of them, all of the atrocities. I'm saying this out loud because maybe I'm being too emotional, so I'm thinking as I'm speaking, but a lot of these atrocities started out as well-meaning enterprises. So, for example, Stalin, like we're looking at Stalin as a terrible person. And Marx, we're looking at these people as terrible people, but at the same time, it's like you have all these people hoarding all of this capital. And you have people that are working to the bone and getting completely taken advantage of.
Yep.
So there's that clip of, it was very interesting because I don't think that they saw the irony in what they were doing in the video. I think that it was funny because we were reviewing a song that I was doing, the one that we're not going to release to the public, but like, and you made a connection that I hadn't like consciously made. So I'm looking at the video, and there's one video was where like you see this starving woman in Africa, and she's like skin and bones, and the next thing you see this big fat American crunching down on his burger. His,
I didn't see that one. I saw
Yeah.
the starving person, and then I saw the girl with the
Yeah, the girl with the waistline thing, and
checking her size. And
you know, these are first world problems.
Yep. Yeah.
You know, like the guy having, you know, too much cholesterol because he's just like overindulging in food, and then the girl like being so obsessed. We have so much food that like we stop eating food for cosmetic purposes. Meanwhile, this girl is dying of starvation. So like Stalin is looking. So like the video is saying like this is terrible. Like this like look at this. Like we're all sharing the same planet. Look what's happening down here because of our wealth. We're able to just indulge on food to the point where now we're doing this stuff.
Yeah.
And then this woman is holding a dead child and starving to death, and it's happening on the same planet. That's fucked up. So then there's clips of Stalin, and it's like Stalin is saying exactly. We need to stop that. Like you need to share your shit, man. So it's like, it's you know, I was listening to this, and I talked about this guy during the what do you call it video, the Rage Against the Machine video. Where I was talking about the communist dude, and the communist dude was talking about like thousands and hundreds of thousands and millions of people gotta die. Yeah. And it's of course a terrible, horrible, genocidal, evil thing to say. But if you listen to what his heart is not that he's not a bloodthirsty freak. He's upset about the injustice of all the inequity that's happening, and you know, like I tell you all the time, rich people know how to stay rich. So it was just a very like crazy moment for me where it's like, or Hitler, you know, like we're listening to this history thing, and it's really good. I'll figure out the podcast at some point what the name of the podcast is, but this guy's talking about history, and he's quoting like World War I was Terry was talking about all these German kids, you know, that they were just out of they weren't even like out of boot camp basically, but they were getting wrecked over there in Belgium.
Yeah. Oh gosh, it was terrible.
And so it was like 100,000 kids were like, oh, they had all this like, oh, we're gonna go to war, and romantic thoughts of war, and they all got this. They were going up against like the most polished, professional British regiments in the world, and they just got torn to shreds.
Had no training.
Torn to shreds, these kids. And so he's quoting like all the trials and tribulation that these German warriors faced, and no matter what you think, like it's a virtuous, like they were to continue in the state of that in the state of all that death is says something about your, you know, your nuts, your inside, right? And so he's quoting all these soldiers and the mentality and how they got through it. And one of the soldiers he quoted was a young Adolf Hitler, because Adolf Hitler fought in World War I. And in Mein Kampf, you had, you know, that discussion, you know, and he was talking about the things that he was going through and all the death that he was seeing. And there's one time when he went to like he was with his boys and he went to go to the bathroom or something like that, and he came back, everybody's dead. You know, just like, and how that like,
how does that affect
how that fucks with you and shapes your mind exactly. And you know, like you think to yourself like, damn, God, why didn't you just leave him there and let him get blown up and let his buddy... Well, if his buddy survived, his buddy saw the same shit. So how do you know his buddy wasn't going to be the next Hitler?
Different things affect people differently.
Yeah, and there's some things that affect people universally. You see all your boys get killed, it affects everybody pretty much the same way, believe me.
When everybody goes out and becomes a Hitler? No.
No, but I mean, he had a certain, you know, like Peterson said, Hitler was basically the collective voice and the angst of the German people. But yeah, I'm thinking out loud here, but there's a lot of like the genocidal, you know, impulse within people. A lot of it starts with these really good intentions that just devolve into really terrible atrocities, and then, you know, seeing people marching down the street with, you know, the Ku Klux Klan started after the Civil War and the whole Reconstruction project, and they were just completely decimated, you know, and so I just felt so bad for, it's crazy because you had Kennedy and you had Gandhi and, you know, these heroes / martyrs, and I didn't feel bad for them, but I felt bad for Hitler and Stalin and these people who were terrible, who would kill our whole family and all 34,000 people in our village like that in a day and wouldn't care. You know, would
go home and stroke their cat.
Yeah. So it was just a very crazy like experience. Like I did not expect that. You know, like I didn't. But yeah, and of course all these people are dead now, so it's not like they can. I think part of me probably I feel a lot more hopeful for Chester's afterlife than I do for all those people. You know, and I'm optimistic about how God saves people.
Yes, you are very.
And I have a very, very low bar as to who gets in and who doesn't. You know, somebody was asking me about like a guy like Hitler, and they were saying, you know, do you believe that if Hitler genuinely repented before he shot himself, you know, or before he died, or whatever, you know, do you think he could make it to heaven? Of course, I said, yeah. I mean, you know, the cross is big enough to cover all of that shit. You know, but
it's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, so anyway, yeah, I'm just blown away by how the video affected me. What did you think of the lyrics?
The way that the song affected me was totally different than how it affected you. To me, it was more of a post-mill sort of like the world is going to get better thing, because he was saying in this farewell, there's no blood, there's no alibi, because I've I've drawn regret from the truth of 1,000 lies. So let mercy come and wash away. So for me, the so let mercy come and wash away was the line that overarched the entire thing. And so then you saw the horrors of the different people that they showed, or the starving person, and then it's really messed up that we have so much food here that, like you said, we have to limit our eating for cosmetic reasons, and then there's people that are starving, and like how is that happening on the same planet and stuff? But that's evil, that's bad, you know what I mean? Like we should all be conscious of how can we, feed the starving, take care of the hungry, like how are we doing, like what are we doing to stop that problem and to help in that way. So it just seemed to me that, we can all look at Hitler and say, whoa, Hitler's a really bad guy. But at the same time, like, how we have to look at ourselves. And it was kind of like a collectivist sort of thing. Like, we have all participated in an unnumberable amount of evils that we may not perceive them to be as evil as other generations will. Another generation, like if the world continues to get better, like as we see it to be, and eventually we're taking care of the poor, they're going to look back at us and they're going to think that it's insane that we got fat when the rest of the world was starving. Like that's going to be like, they're not even going to be able to process that we allowed that to happen. You know what I'm saying? So but it's just, whatever issues that we have, it's hard for us to see our own issues where other people can see them more clearly. So to me, it was just, we're all messed up. We've all gone out of the way. We've all done what's evil. We've all gone astray. But then let mercy come and wash away, because there's nothing else that can change that. Like, we can't go back and bring back to life the people that died because they're starving, and we can't stop Hitler for what he's did because it's already been done. But all of us have participated in all this, and the only thing that we need now, we need mercy. So because we could all get overcome by, like, I'll have to face myself to cross out what I've become, erase myself and let go of what I've done. So it's like, erasing ourselves or dying or whatever, we can't die for our own sin. So it was, all right, then it's like, let mercy come. And that line just kept hitting me. Let mercy come and wash it all away. Like, that's what we need. And we need the mercy of God because we've all done things. So for me, it was a kind of like an uplifting sort of song, because it was like, that line kept rolling in every time. It just kept rolling in on me. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that, that's very well put. That's yeah, and so like when you think about collectivism, it's the idea that like the community as a whole takes some sort of culpability for the sins of the, and I mean for my love for Jordan Peterson, he's completely against collectivism because of I think the way that the communists apply collectivism, which I obviously don't agree with, because there's still a way to hold individuals responsible in a collectivist sense. But the idea is that because all of us share benefits collectively, we all benefit from the work that we all do and the things that we all do. That means we also have to share the collective guilt. So if you our economy, the U.S. economy, is based, we have this cheap labor overseas. We have child labor laws here, but there are no child labor laws overseas in a lot of these places where we outsource to. Right. So we all benefit from that collectively. But then when we say you're guilty, America, now all of a sudden we want to be individuals. And I think and that's another thing that was really significant to me that you put words to that I wasn't able to figure out was you are the Nazi walking. You are the German. And that's one of the reasons I love Jordan Peterson, because he's not a Christian, but he comes to these conclusions psychologically that the Bible talks about spiritually that are very interesting. So on the one hand, he's not a collectivist, but then he's got these talks where he says, if you were a German, odds are you would have been a Nazi. Right. You would have done that shit. Right. If you were in the antebellum, if I was a white person in the antebellum South, odds are I would have taken part in it, and I would have just thought that it was. I mean, we've had this conversation like that. Part of what's special about us coming together is that there are so many obstacles about geography, right? Because I was born in Jamaica, but there are obstacles of circumstance. Well, there's also obstacles of time. So if we were in the antebellum South 200 years ago, this wouldn't have happened, because you most likely would have went along with because it's all you knew. And like when you come to that understanding that this is part of human nature, like the people who stand against those things are in the minority. Right. The majority usually goes along with it.
Right.
Then you sort of like I think that was it. Like you see like the damn Hitler went astray and all these Germans went astray and they got their asses kicked in World War I and the Treaty of Versailles was terrible and it was just very punitive and a lot of things that coalesced together and created a bunch of evil shit. And the German citizenry, for the most part, took part. But like, it's like, and that's one of the reasons why like the whole racism thing doesn't affect me. Because if I was in their situation, you know, I don't know what I would have done. Like people think so highly of themselves.
Right.
Like to your point, like there's going to be a group of snot-nosed kids in college 200 years from now, once we figured out world hunger, and they're going to come back and judge this generation.
And you know? Rightly so.
And rightly so, but what they're gonna miss is if they were here, they would have done the same shit mostly.
Right.
And I'll tell you something else. There's shit that we do right now in this country. There's certain blocks of our society that are completely open season. That the fact of the matter is, you know, I had a discussion with somebody, and you know, whatever, you know, people aren't gonna like it, but I had a discussion with somebody, and I said, what are we aborting? What is the species of being of what we're aborting? And he said, well, it's a human. It's a Homo sapien. He told you, I mean, I think you were there. You were in the... I said, okay. And then he came up with all this stuff. And I'm like, don't you see? Like, he said, oh, it's a fetus. Well, okay. You know, it's like, oh, it's a nigger. Oh, it's a Jew.
Right.
Like, hello. And like 200 years from now, they're going to look back but you can't judge those people, because for the most part, this is human nature. We're all collectively, you know, in it. And you know, America's my country, and America's done some fucked up shit, and I'm not gonna separate. This is like what we say about the church. Like the church has done terrible things in the past. Yep. You know, I'm not going to separate myself from that, because those are my people. Well, America has taken part in some evil shit, and to this moment is taking part in evil shit. Well, I'm not going to separate myself from that.
Right.
But I love what you said about, like, the only thing that we have left is mercy. You know what I mean? It's like not getting what you deserve. And like when the song changed, like went the positive route, there's this baby. The baby's walking around, and then the grass comes up, and it's kind of like garden imagery, and like it's like, you know, I don't know where Chester was or what he was thinking or but it's like all you have is mercy. Like there's so many things where like people, like we act like God owes us something. Like he doesn't see all the evil shit that we've all like participated in collectively. Like Germany's still a country.
Yeah.
Full of beautiful people and badass soccer players. They're like blessed, like God has blessed their socks off. In spite of that, the Israelis are, you know, they're thriving, and the Israelis experienced the fucked up shit that happened in Germany, and now they're oppressing these poor Palestinian people, doing evil shit to them. And it's like, whoa, like God is just like, everybody's getting mercy like across the board. You know, we talked about it yesterday. It's like there's that very strange passage in the Bible where it says God has bound all to disobedience so that he can have mercy on all. Like that's it. Nobody's, you know, I love talking to atheists and why would God allow this, and they're like serious questions about the problem of evil. But at the end of the day, a lot of those questions are rooted in this assumption that God owes you, like he doesn't owe you any justice. Right. like he doesn't owe this country, like he doesn't owe me like any justice. And then people go, oh, this guilt and like, I love the song because it's like it's about facing yourself and realizing all the negative shit that all of us put into the atmosphere with our
Right.
thoughts and our actions and our inactions. And that has accumulated to all over the place. And like, when you actually face yourself and you truly... I had somebody tell me one time in a fireside chat that he's never done anything with a malicious intent in his life.
But that's that self-awareness thing. I mean, that's when you're self-aware and you have an accurate assessment of yourself, then you don't put such a harsh judgment on the person beside you because you understand.
Right.
You know, but when you don't see yourself rightly, then you don't think that you've really done anything. Well, I'm not like that person. I'm not like that person. Instead of realizing the things that you have done and the ways that you are, we just...
Yeah, it was an interesting line at the beginning. There's no blood, there's no alibi. You know, like... So that's kind of where we kind of differ in the sense of, like...
Yeah.
I can face myself in like my raw worst moments. And when I say worst moments, I'm not even necessarily talking about all the things that I've done, because there's a whole laundry list of evil shit that I've done. But even like, you know, I talked about this in the other video, like your thought life.
Yeah.
Like the impulses that you have.
Yeah.
And you're, you know, I was talking to Ben, or I think Zeus or Ben was asking me a question, and he asked me, you know, the question in the way that Ben asks, or Zeus asks questions, but, you know, the propensity to like want to take justice into my own hands and want to solve them in the stupidest, you know, way possible. That too, you know, like that impulse. Like, why is that an impulse? Oh, you're gonna go and, you know what I mean? Like, and so it's like, all of that, processing all of that, and like looking at yourself in all your raw ugliness. But then there's like, for us in our story, there's like redemption for all of us in the blood of Christ, because he died. You know, it's like you were kind of quoting Isaiah 53. All we like sheep have gone astray. We've turned everyone to his own way, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. Right. It's like, like, man.
And I liked the analogy of the mercy washing it away, because I've heard so many people say, like, in conversations, they're like, I just feel like the dirtiness that they feel in connection with sin. And lucky for us, many of us feel that dirtiness that goes along with sin. So there's this, you know, washing that, and that those analogies are used in the Bible of, you know,
I will wash you with clean water and you'll be clean.
Yeah, stuff like that. So, like, there's a cleansing that, so you're never too far gone. You're never to the point where you won't feel that innocence or that cleanness again, because God can renew that in you. But
yeah,
you know, I just loved it. I really liked it, and I just saw those.
Well, that's the interesting thing, and I think that's probably one of the reasons why I love Pearson so much, because it's like a guy who's not standing. He doesn't believe that the Bible's like inspired the words of God, but then he comes to certain conclusions. Yeah. Based on his psychology background that are very pertinent. And so I mean, I don't know like where he's gone with guilt and things like that, but you'll hear a lot of times with Christianity, and it's like oh, you're, you know, guilt trips, like Zeus was talking, guilt trips and guilt trips and guilt trips. It's like, well, we why do we have songs like this?
Right. Because people feel guilty.
Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, seriously. Like, it's not. You have you know, when you tell a person you have no conscience. Yeah,
that means you have no guilt.
Well, think about it. Like, your conscience doesn't say, "Oh man, you helped that lady across the street. Right. You're gonna get like if you walk somebody across the street, you walk an old lady across the street. Nobody rolls up to you and says, "Don't you have a conscience?" Right. Your conscience functions to alert you when you've done something wrong. Well, are you trying to say that? What are you trying to say? That Christianity has. And here's the crazy thing about Christianity and guilt. There's a heavy primer on admitting guilt in Christianity, for sure. And here's why. The psychological reality is all of us are dealing with guilt. So Christianity says, okay, you've got guilt. How are you going to deal with it? Well, you can be like my friend and say, I've never done anything purposely malicious in my life. And it, like, even the atheists were like, well, what? What the fuck are you talking about? Are you Jesus? I need to stop being an atheist then. You know, like, okay, you can do that thing, and like, and like try to cover it your entire life. That's one way. It's just complete denial. Or you can accept it, and this is not what Christianity says, but this is what people think. You can accept that you're a fucked up person and you've done evil shit, and then you can work it off for the rest of your life. Like you can say, okay, I punched that guy in the face when I was 9. I'm gonna help 9 ladies across the street. And for some reason, in the back of people's mind, it never really fixes it. And Christianity says, okay, you're not gonna do the denial thing. You're not gonna work it off because you cannot nothing you do can undo what you've done in the past. That's the point of the song. So it says, okay, well, what if all the guilt that you feel and the ick that you feel could be put on somebody else? And then he could take it away and put it in the ground. And then you could come up with him, and you never have to deal with it ever again. And then you live the rest of your life in gratitude to that guy. And that's the story we're caught up in. And to me, psychologically, it's because now, if you can get this message, and I know a lot of we had this discussion in the car 2 days ago. I know a lot of Christians who struggle. I mean, you struggle with like getting that, like, whoa, like it's done. You know, like when
work it off.
Yeah, people want to work it off. You know, and it's like somehow he came to the conclusion he can't do it. He can't work it off. He can only rely on mercy. That's it. They should play this during communion.
Well, and again, I think that when you have an accurate assessment of yourself, you'd say, okay, I can't.
Yeah, because you can't stop doing bad shit.
Because you're like, I'm forgetting every day.
Yeah, like my friend, he lied.
Maybe even maliciously lied.
Yeah, he unmaliciously lied. Yeah. And yeah, so it's like, oh, you know, we're benefiting from child labor over there. You know, and it's like, okay, well, what are we gonna do? You know, and that kind of, you know, I'm just gonna say it, like we're gonna buy as a village. We're gonna buy a well somewhere.
One time, like years ago, I don't really know. Years ago, I saw this thing where you could buy, like, I guess villages they go in and drill them a well and get it all set up so that way they can actually have, you want to cry, fresh water in the village for the people. But it costs a certain amount of money for them to be able to do that, and so people could like donate money toward getting a well. So I thought maybe like as a village we could like pool our money together and buy a well for another village. So.
We're gonna do that shit. But we're not gonna do it to like pay off some other debt of conscience that we have. We're just gonna do it because, you know,
we love the next village.
We love the next village. Period. Done. Like it's not gonna get us any kudos from God or anything like that. You know, I mean, 3/4 of you guys don't even believe in God, so you say. So yeah, so that's coming down the pike. It's gonna be the Village for the Village project is what we're gonna call it.
I'm just gonna do some research. If anybody knows of any programs like that, I mean, I've seen them before. I just haven't done the research to find them yet. So let me know.
It's a village and it's water. And it's you know, I don't care if it's a religious or a secular, I don't care what it is. It's got to be an accredited. And that it's gonna get it done for those people. And it's crazy to me that like water, people don't have water, and they got to travel for 20, 30 miles or something like that. So we can actually we are gonna do something. So. Look out for that video. It's the Village for the Village project. We're going to do some research and get back to you guys. And
that's something we're doing with you guys, too. Like, we're not, like, starting a thing for you guys to all do it. Like, we're putting our money into it, too.
We're leading the pack on that, for sure. And we're going to do something, you know? And we're going to... we got a pretty special group of people in our little village, and we're gonna use that power.
Shoot, people are putting their money forth for buying shirts for other people.
For their own people. Yeah.
So like how much more like water? This will probably save people's lives, you know?
Oh, for sure.
So
yeah, we're gonna do it. But anyway, it's a 10 for me.
Obviously, 10.
R.I.P. to the big homie Chester. Beautiful soul, man. Beautiful. He's a beautiful brother. For sure.
I actually feel like a lot of hope for him because, Like he had
it right. Just mercy. That's it. And that's remember me when you come to your kingdom. Good enough. Good enough. You're in. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the thief on the cross.
Yeah.
They said to Jesus.
All right, y'all. Much love, for real. Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.